All right, we're back with Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi. Thanks for sticking with us through some technical difficulties there, Congressman. Before the break, I wanted to get you to break down the numbers, what you expect to see happen to the people you serve in Illinois as a result of this big, beautiful bill.
At least 700,000 to 1 million people losing their health insurance, hundreds of thousands losing their SNAP and food stamp assistance. That's personal to me. I'm a child of food stamps and public housing. And so you're talking about, a lot of people who are already working, by the way, who are going to lose their support and in the process make it less likely for them to be able to work. So this is really upending and devastating their lives.
Congressman Elise Jordan here. You really went above and beyond to get there for the vote, driving around 14 hours to make it. But now the bill is law. So what's the strategy for Democrats? And is there legislation the Democrats can push to try to undo some of the damage? Or is it really going to be about the midterm election?
Well, I think that we should absolutely try to do at least three things. One, hold people accountable, make it very clear that in a number of districts that are really on the razor's edge, including ones that Kamala Harris won, by the way, we have to make it very clear that these members of Congress chose Donald Trump over their constituents. That's extremely important. We need to hold people accountable. Number two, we should push legislation, although in the minority it's a little difficult to have it passed, but we need to have votes taken wherever we can on this legislation, especially in the form of amendments to must-pass bills and so forth. And then third and finally, we have to make it clear that, look, there's a reason why people should come out and vote for Democrats in the midterm elections. And that's in part because the start date for many of these cuts is in 2027 after those elections. So if we take back control of Congress, we can help to slow down the implementation of those cuts and maybe even reverse them. So there's a lot riding on these elections.
Congressman, what do you do in advance, though, if look, the average American may not understand the fine details here. They certainly haven't read 900 or so pages of the bill as it was being debated. And so, part of it sounds like the hope here hinges on the ability to make this argument to people that this change that you might not see for quite a while is the result of someone else. But how do you do that? How do you make this real to people when so often what voters really respond to is their simple kitchen table issues, the things they are experiencing, the bills they're worried about paying in the day-to-day?
Well, based on the constituent contact with my office, there's a lot of awareness of these cuts already, but we need to shine a light on that harm that's about to happen and make sure that people understand exactly what's in this bill. Not to mention, we talked about the Medicaid cuts, the cuts to food stamps, also to housing assistance, but there's also potentially cuts to Medicare that are about to happen because of something called sequestration. The Congressional Budget Office has indicated that because the deficits and debt is going above a certain threshold, there may be automatic cuts to Medicare. So we have to activate our seniors as well on this particular topic. But it will be malpractice if we don't. And so it's incumbent on us to shine a light on this harm. And as much as possible in the days and weeks to come, we have to do it constantly.
Congressman, there has recently been more discussion of the consequences for safety net benefits, as we've been discussing. I feel like there's been relatively little commentary from Democrats about the energy changes, about the cancellation or rescission of a bunch of the tax credits, for example, for solar and wind that were passed under Joe Biden. Why aren't Democrats talking more about that? It also seems like it would be effective since a lot of these projects were scheduled to be in red states and are now being paused or outright canceled. Just help me understand why this has not been a bigger deal at this point.
I think there have been so many fires associated with this bill that perhaps there just hasn't been enough attention paid to this one in light of everything else that's happened. But you're absolutely right. In Illinois alone, we're set to lose about 20,000 jobs because of this particular bill and the phasing out of these tax credits, which are really essential for these projects in the renewable energy fields to be feasible. Not just that, but essentially our whole domestic solar and wind manufacturing efforts are now coming to a halt because of the ending of the tax credits and other supports for domestic manufacturing. Now, what is the result of that? We're going to become more and more reliant on, for instance, Chinese manufactured components in the renewable energy field. And for that matter, they're going to continue to dominate global manufacturing, and the wealth, innovation, prosperity that might otherwise come to us is going to go to them and other countries. So this is really devastating.
Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi, thank you so much. Up next, we'll go